All right, I got one of these holes. This is hole number 9. So I tried something earlier on this hole, just trying to play around. And I set up I had an extra mile, max topspan. I was using a Titan. I had an extra mile on a Titan. And I set up where my clear ring was off the transitional surface between the rough and the fairway. And I ended up, there's a rock right here in between these two trees, and I ended up hitting this tree right by the rock. So it came around, I had enough room to clear these trees out here, and came out of this area and came in and hit that tree dead center. So I brought out an Apocalypse this time with a Kingmaker. It's got more side spin so that I could try and whip around this corner a little bit more. And so instead of setting up on this side, because I had plenty of room in here, I set my Apocalypse up where I set the white ring up on my Apocalypse on the transition between this rough and the fairway. And the trajectory came in more to the left. So instead of hitting the tree, I came through this area and went right in the middle and ended up clipping that rock and ended up behind that rock. So I came in like this, but I left myself more room for the arc out here because it's got, number one, it's got more curl. And with the side spin ball trying to bring it around, but I noticed something when my opponent came out. So this was a pretty easy eagle, and I totally tanked this second shot. But it was a pretty easy eagle getting around there, and I've done that twice, where you've got to wrap yourself around the tree so your ball guide could be a little wonky, and then you're going to put curl on it and just bring it around. So you have zero shot at Albie, but it's a pretty easy eagle, and you can do it with a Titan. The Kingmaker just took me a little bit farther forward, but my opponent came out with a power 5 ball, and they laid up right here. And one of the things that I noticed is that from where they were lining up, just using the normal curl in it without doing the max overpower, I'm just wondering if you can't go from here on your first bounce and get your second bounce out in this direction and either clip this fairway and then bounce forward, or clip that rough and end up down here in this fairway where you've got this shot for Albie. If the wind's blowing right, depending on how much distance you have down here and how big your topspin club is. No, I mean, if you could get way down in there, I don't think you can get way down in there with a big topper. You'd lose too much distance. Big toppers work good when you have a fairway in front of you that you can continue to bounce on. But there may be an option to get down into this area. And even if you were down in the rough right here and you miss this, you can get on and you got a straight lane, as opposed to where I'm at right here where you have to go around. You have no shot at Albie. So it's at least something to explore to get down into that area. I've seen a few people lay up out here, and I would rather be in the rough down here trying to get up. I don't know, it seemed like a big shot from way back here. And these types of shots are difficult because you're trying to get the ball to stop as close as you can to the rough on the other side, but you really don't want to take any risks because you can't recover. All right, let's see how the hole plays out. Then I can really be critical. And what happened was I got on the hole, and then I got onto the hole, and then I timed out. My video ended. I had to go erase a video real quick, so I just put on, what did I put on the ball there? I put on max topspin, max left-hand side spin, using an APOC 4. And the wind was going with me, so I left the wind in. But if it would have been any other kind of wind other than forward-moving wind, I would have at least addressed it. And I cleared those trees out there by quite a bit. If I would have been on the other side of the fairway where I set up my extra mile, now I clipped that rock, but you can see where I come in right here. The trajectory was actually not that bad, and I think I still had room on that first fairway where I could come more to the left to try and get my trajectory to straighten out. Look at the gap. So my opponent switches to a 5 power ball. And let's see where their red line's at. Let's see what kind of look we'd have. Wish they'd spin it around so we can see that gap. They do spin it around here in a minute, right there. So where we're looking at on this trajectory is like they're almost looking like they're going to try and bounce through these trees to try and get out here in front to pick up this extra distance, because you can only get to about right there. So they could pick that up. And their red line with a power 5 ball is right in that area. So I guess that, and with this rock right here, we may not be able to get down into that area, but boy, it would sure be nice to explore it because it looks like it rolls down. So if you could start up on this hill right here with curl, it might roll down onto that fairway. But there's also a shot right here to get over into this area, and that's going to be a much better shot than out here. I'm just not sure if we can get it right so that we could do a rough bump to get out into that area. But if you're going to work to get out into here, it seems like with some overpower and some curl, you have a pretty good shot at the tip of this fairway down here, and that would be a pretty awesome shot. And why they brought out a 5 power ball and then lay it up over here, I mean, it helps you out on your second shot for sure. But if you were going to lay up over there, it's almost better to bring your big topper or your quarterback or your rock and try from over here and use your curl so that you can get all the way to that tip. Now I understand bringing out a 5 power ball sometimes for the second shot because there's a spot that you need to lay up to and you need a 5 power ball, but it seems like they could have got more out of their 5 power ball on that shot. It seemed like they had better options. At the very least, bring out a club that's got curl so you can get way down into that. And that would be a pure setup shot. You could find a spot out there and be 2 rings off or 3 rings off, and every single time you come to this hole. I was having some difficulty with my setting my rings up because of where I was at, and I saw it start flashing red, and so I just released. And I got a little lucky. It bounced off that rock and ended up on the green. See how my opponent did. But even tanking that shot where I was at, you can still easily get up on the green. I mean, it is very easy to get on the green. I just tanked that shot. So my opponent's at max hammerhead. So they got a level 3 hammerhead. I don't think it's developed a lot of its distance. It's probably, I can't even remember, let's say 170. So if you had a big dog there and a 3 power ball, and you could have netted more yards with a Kingmaker. So, I mean, you could get better yardage with the Kingmaker. You'd probably be in the same spot as far as redlining your wood. All right, that was hole number 9. That was just another look at it. And hopefully I will continue to work on these holes and get some of the new ones. I played for about an hour tonight and got City Park, Southern Pines, City Park, Southern Pines, City Park. And then I finally caught a couple holes. All right, that was hole number 9. Par 5. Thanks for watching.